Okay, so just tell me when you start.
Yep, that's the start.
Okay, so we have started with the basics like list creation. So whenever you go into TTS, you don't have to like click on the individual army boxes and drag miniatures out of them and to create a list. When you choose a color, you can see that there is a box inside each of those hidden areas to the side in blue and red one. And you can use those boxes to create army lists. I'll just bring one to the front. So let's say there's a red army box. You can right click this box and rename it to your liking. I would say army list 234, whatever, or just put a name there, whatever you like. And then you can put models there, and then right click the box, maybe even change color theme so that you can find it easier, and save this box to your object. So you right click it and go save object, and go to your folder. So you will start with root folder, but then you can add more folders and you save it as an object. And what happens, I will not save this object because that's not something I want to have, but then you can go to your objects, saved objects. So this is on the top menu. There is like object and saved objects, and then you have multiple folders. So for instance, I have created folders like army lists, maps, markers, miniatures, etc. And in my army list, I can have like say a box. I just put the box. So these are my saved objects, and the remainder, and I can delete them at my leisure. And whenever I go to the table, I have prepared an army box. So this requires a bit of time in preparation, like before the game, but it's well worth it if you want to play like 5 or 10 or 15 games with a list. And even if you like change a model, you can just change one model in a box and don't waste time searching for the model in the boxes for the armies. Okay, so that was one thing. Another thing, if you, for example, use the 3D models, there is a link somewhere like for the 3D workshop. Say you have this Nadir, and this Nadir is obviously not a Nadir model because there is no Nadir model. This is like my converted Gulam with Jambazan helmet and missile launcher. And let's say I really like this model, but I don't want him to be a Nadir. Let's say I want him to be, let's say, a Gulam NCO. So you pick up a model from those boxes here, and then you can edit the description of the model. So you right-click the Gulam NCO, you go to the title of the model, and then you go to the Nadir, you right-click it, you go to the description. Of course, you Control-A, Control-C, then Control-A, Control-V. So it copy-pastes everything, then paste everything. And then you do the same with the description. So Control-A, Control-C, then the description, Control-A, Control-V, and now you have a Gulam NCO rifle grenade launcher. You can obviously change the color tint. That's pretty basic. You can change the color tint of the silhouette. And what happens if a model doesn't have a silhouette? So let's say I will reset states of this guy. So now you can see like this Asovira has 0 states. I cannot change the state of him. Like he doesn't have a silhouette anymore. But let's say I want this guy to have, let's say his state, then I want him to, let's say, be a Saladin for some reason, and then this silhouette. So I put them here, and I right-click the first guy. I don't know if like the exact sequence matters, but I have been doing this in this sequence, and it always works. So you right-click the guy you want to be the beneficient of the states. Then you control-click the second guy. Then you control-click the third silhouette. And then I right-click the initial guy. And then from the drop-down menu, I select Create States. And bam, I have a model with 3 states. So the first state is Asovira Doctor, second is Saladin, third is Silhouette, exactly as I told them to be. So the order you select the models matters, and then you have to right click the first guy. And you can do this with anything. I could like say have this box to be a state of this silhouette. So I could like create states, and bam, you have a two-state silhouette. One is a silhouette, the second is a box that you can contain still miniatures. And then bam. Uh,
What does Roman Liminal
uh,
has to do with me?
oh, it doesn't work. Yeah, so I cannot change the states on the guy with the miniatures, but I can right-click and change states. Um, so that's the basics of manipulation of miniatures and army lists. Any questions?
I think not.
Okay.
I have a
Great.
question regarding, well, checking line of sight, how
Okay.
to do it in the easiest way.
Okay. Let's see. Let me load up a map. So I go to, I can either go to the map to go objects, save objects on my maps, or I could go to games, which is a better way because it always loads up the latest version of the thing. You go to games, and let's say I will choose a remote access league maps, and I go to the three dots that are in the top right corner of the workshop, and then I click it and go expand, and this will load up just the objects that are in this workshop, and I could be able to spawn them inside this workshop. So let's say we are now in like remote access league season 4. So I just spawn the maps here. So I just spawned the box with the maps, and they are up to date. Like if I updated the workshop in between, this would be the latest version. So which map do you want to load?
Any, I think.
Let's say the frostbite because that's possibly like the most difficult for Linus of Fire. So you grab the box. In order to grab the bag, like any object that is a container, in order to lift it and not just grab a thing from inside it, you have to like left click and hold for a moment, and until the outline of the object like disappears, and then you can actually move it. So I think I still left some models. So yeah, is it something I left, or is it some trial saved object?
Probably the saved object, I think.
Okay, yeah. So let's say there are some gazis. So let's say there is a gazi here, and let's say there is a gazi here. Okay, and we want to see the lines of fire. There are none right now, but if let's say the guy is here, okay. So how do we check it? First, we should change the model to a silhouette. So click 2 on the model. You can do this for me, yeah. And this guy.
So you can just do it on a keyboard without right-clicking and
Yes,
changing
you
state.
just you just click 2 on it, and then you move your camera so that you are slightly behind the silhouette. And you can
Okay.
see like there is a line. From my silhouette I can see. Now if there is a tricky line, like that you don't like you cannot put a camera like inside your silhouette, or like there's really tricky, like say you only see the top of the model silhouette and you are not sure, then you can right click the silhouette. Don't ever do this with models and camo markers because that's an offense, because but you can do this with silhouette for checking lines of fire. You can go to color tint and go to A, which is alpha, and set it say to 150 and apply. Oh, that's even too much. I think 150 is too much, maybe 200.
Okay, and
then this makes it see-through. And then you can put your camera like inside and see what you can see from inside the silhouette. So this can be done for checking like lines of fire, because you can like put a camera like inside your silhouette, and see actually what you can see through the silhouette. But never do this like with models on the table, because like if you, let's say there was one of like a guy was like asked to leave politely because he placed a mine that was in the shadow of a building, and then he color tinted it to like, I don't know, something like this.
Now that's a real camouflage right here. I can see it.
Yeah, so I would say like this looks cool, but that's not something like you can notice very easily.
Especially
Like
on top like this.
especially until you like get into the
This does raise a point that I was looking into yesterday when I was playing my beginner game. So deploying a mine in a camo state, good practice for TTS would that be to just grab the mine from whichever pile it is, put it in your hidden deployment, or I guess your little blocked off no visibility zone for the only you can see into, and then turn on the camo silhouette there? Did it already drop the call? Are you kidding me?
Perzan, I'm not sure I can hear you properly.
Okay. Turns out I dropped the call. But I'm back now.
Yeah, there's no sound of your that I can hear from your side, Perzan. No voice. Even though the Discord says that you are enabled.
Okay, sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
My Discord is playing on me. I dropped out of the channel. Okay, so you can change the state of the building by clicking one or two. Now you can see like on this particular map, like why rock made it this way, that the buildings, the thing that puts on the roof is like this see-through thing next to the building. So now you have to click like number 1 to place the building on top. Like maybe this is not like super intuitive, but it works. So you just click on this object and change the state to 1. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so whenever you like go to buildings and you position models, sometimes you get like those weird positions. Let's say here. Okay, so this is an object now. So I want to position a guy on the stairs, but this thing is on my way. And say I don't want to remove it by like putting the roof on. I just want to put the model down there. So what you can do is you hold left mouse button to select the silhouette, and then hold the right mouse button, which will push it down to the ground. And you can drag the model like by the ground. Yeah, it will unfortunately like dance around with all the colliders. Another like very like useful thing, like very simple but useful, is go to your lift height, which is on the top of the screen, and it is like there is a 15 degrees rotation, and then there is like a man lifting weights, and you set it down like all the way down, because if you set it like at like the default, it makes like this silhouette like pop up every time I pick it up. And then if I change it to the 0, it will almost not pop up. Like it will just lift a millimeter. And it is very helpful for maneuvering around the map. Okay.
I have a question regarding templates and, well, placing templates in 3D environment. Is there any way
that's
to do it?
a very good question. So the templates, small and large one, have states too. You can notice they have states. The one state is the one that knocks over models. If you put it on, somehow those models are not knocking around, but they can, like, especially if you like drop it in the models, it can knock models around. If you go to the state 2, it becomes like without a collider on the template, just the tip is the collider, and you need to grab by the tip. So you need to grab by the black thing here, and then you can rotate it like by 15 degrees as you see fit. Now, if this is still not enough, let's say I have a model like shooting from here, and there is a model here, and I say a model here.
Yeah.
And I want to see if it's touching them. You can position the. I'm doing some lag. You can position them here. Okay, so I can see like this is not touching, but say I want this model, let's say here, right? And if it's touching, so what can you do is you can lock the silhouette. So you press L on it, and then you can use Gizmo, so F8, and click the tip of the template, and press F8 again to make it rotate, and then you can change it into different angles, or you can put the rotation in.
Okay, well, that's quite tricky, I think.
Yeah, because we are doing it like all of us at the same time. Yeah, but like the base thing, yeah, I just lost the silhouette because it's now in the
the tip is now
the terrain.
inside.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but basically what you can do is you can like lock the template in place, and like if like 15 degrees angle is not enough, because let's say you want to like put it at some different angle and see if it connects. That's pretty common actually. And the other is free. Yay! Then you can basically, yeah, let's say you put it like here and want to see if it touches, say, I don't know, this guy, he's standing like on top, like here. So depending on how you put the silhouette, you could put it like from this corner and down. So I can lock the silhouette, and then by carefully, please don't move this right now, by carefully using my gizmo, I can change the rotation of this thing and the position of this thing, like to be hovering in the air. And then I can change the angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then I can maybe change the rotation to see like the height. And you can, right now you can already clearly see that since this is a 3D object that is like this template is rotating around this long axis, this is clearly not reaching this guy at this point. So that's enough for the most part. So how to do this? Use the F8, which is gizmo, and there are multiple gizmos like move, rotate, scale, volume scale, rotation value. For the most part, you will use move and rotate, and you can use them, like these are useful to create maps. So you could move it, let's say I want to move this camo here, and in order to put it like right neat into the corner, you could either like try to nudge him into place, and there is like you can just press N next to the guy, and then it just jumps around, which is not very precise. You could nudge him, like nudge and arrive at him with the nudge. So you can like nudge right here, where you can see my finger, and then hold N and arrive at him with the nudge. And this is much gentler. So I just hold N and just move the cursor next to him. You can, by the way, okay, so only two guys can interact with the things. But yeah, And another thing is to position him here. And I think that's when you get used to it, that's the fastest way. So you can F8 and just gizmo him. So you can just put him like in the exact position, and then he can even clip the terrain, which is not a thing you should do, but sometimes it helps. Yeah.
Yep.
And like especially like super jumps and like it doesn't happen as much. But let's say you have I know McMurder who wants to put like chain rifles on the link team, and he wants to jump around like a bit. So let's say he wants to like target this prone camo here. So let's put this camo prone, and let's spawn some guy. Okay, let's spawn this guy. Okay, so if I want to like, let's say he has super jump and I want to like jump at him and like put a template, let's say this is not a camo but a model prone, and I want to put a template here. And for some reason I don't want to move here. Maybe I want to like target some other guy. You could just lock him in place so that he's not moving when you gizmo him away. And then you can basically measure the movement you want him to take, like using the 3D instead of 2D I'm using right now. So let's say he wants to move like here and up. So that's, let's say, 4 inches. And then continue like 2 more inches, like another direction. So you want him to position him here, let's say slightly up. Then you can just gizmo him and move him like in the exact position you want him to be. And you can either grab him by the vectors of the gizmo or by the planes, which are in the middle, which will only then move him in two-dimensional space. So this is the horizontal space, and this should be like the vertical in this direction, and this should be vertical in another direction. It doesn't allow me to move him like left and right, this position. And you can lock him here and say he will continue his movement from this, and then use this small teardrop like to, or large teardrop to like position it there using the gizmo to see what he can target. Now this is like, this will not come very often, but gizmo is your friend. Can everybody hear me? Am I still like
Yes.
in chat?
We're hearing you.
Yep, yep.
I will be asking from time to time because I'm dropping regularly. Yeah. So yeah. So we can basically lock models in place, but be wary. If you change his silhouette, he will no longer be locked because the silhouette is not locked. The silhouette is a different object. So please change the silhouette on him to 2. Yeah. And you can see already he dropped. So you have to be careful with like checking line of fire with those guys. Especially similarly with this small teardrop, if I just drop it into the second state, it drops right out. The gravity starts to work. Okay, anything else? Like from the basics? Anybody has some questions?
What is the best way of counting orders and tokens? Because I've seen some people use some sort of well, tablet with tokens on it, and well, I was using just these usual
Yes. Now,
count.
like these are very fast, but they're prone to misclicks. So
Yeah.
let's say you have a 15 of the group and you click and move a model, click and move a model, and then you click this thing and then you click it, and bam, the order is spent, and you don't remember, and you right click 2 times and then 1 click, and it doesn't register anything. I just misclicked it and it's down to 4. So I don't like it personally. I prefer tokens, they are more like tangible. So what I've done, I used Wirerock no dice, awesome new objects, and I created some saved other plates with the, let's say the N4. I will spawn the N4 thing. here. So this is a single saved object. So you can select all the tokens, right click, select the prawn, right click, select an order plate, and then right click and select save object, and save this as the red order plate. And you can see like this has like the locking things for the objects. And since your most likely your list will not have as many orders, you just then go and delete the ones you don't need. Also, this is a stack of command tokens.
Is there any way to place 2 lieutenant orders on this
Yes,
plate?
you just copy paste.
Ah.
And there are two locking.
It usually doesn't
spots.
stick.
Like you just copy paste. You just copy paste another one. So do you want me to spawn another one to so that you can save it? Okay, so I will say place the red order plate for the 4. I will play now. The thing is like they are orientated, so this is upside down right now. So a blue order plate and 4 is here. So in order to save it, like because I like the order plate to be locked, how to do this? I think you will have to change like for cookie, Winolis, coil, and trogs. So you would need to like change colors. But I think I dropped them in like digital design, and they are pinned in the remote access click digital design section. So you can just save the objects there. Yes. So you just select all the tokens, like with just a box, and then you control left click the plate and maybe the prawn token, I don't know. I just like it there. And then you right click on the plate and create and save object. And then the trick to placing it, because if you just drag it, it will most likely drop the tokens. If I just go to my set objects and go to my markers and just drag the plate, and it is a little bit like uneven, like this. It's already like, yeah, this one is already locked here, so it's not representing this as well. Yeah, so I also have those like N3 tokens because I just like the colors of the N3 stuff, like the prawns and the unconscious stuff. So I can just spawn them too for you if you like. Like I will just spawn them like red here and the blue here. Just the objects, saved objects, markers, blue order plate, and 3 tokens. Object and a red order plate, old school tokens. Yeah, this one comes with assassin dice for no reason. No reason. Yeah. So I like them. I was experimenting with other like ways of using tokens. These plates are like golden for me. And Wirerock is making a great job with like creating those new assets. Okay, so how you track the orders? You either like delete those guys, so you just right click and delete the thing. Unfortunately, like this one can be deleted wholly. This one, I don't know, but some of them just cannot be selected. So command token can be selected, but it deletes just the number. And yeah, and then you can just unlock it. I can just move it with all the tokens there and lock it in place. Yeah, it's not pretty, but yeah. And also, like those things, like for the most part, when you deploy a link team, you only lose like the link leader, but for some armies, especially like when you have like 7 or 6 or 8 linkable troops, then you can just that's a guy. You can just place models there, some models, and just placing anything, and then you can like place like say link leader here, and then the linked troops next to them, so you know which are exactly in the link. You can also attach them to a guy, but that's like a bit more complicated and not really that useful, because basically what you can do with attach tool would have, say, this guy with a head, or as a ball, or as a die. So you could have like this thing. Yeah, and now it's a 9. Let's unlock it. Yeah, I just created a monstrous guy, but it's a die, and you can roll it.
So basically, you merge the two models into one, and that's
Yeah,
when
I
you
merged
can
the two models, but
merge
it's like
And
the
like
linked
how
numbers.
do you do it?
sometimes
Like
you use
just
the
select
attach.
them?
You just use the combine tool. So there's attach, fixed joint, hinge joint, and spring joint. I don't use them very often, but it comes in handy sometimes, just sometimes. You could create like monstrosities like two Dailami's together, or like Margot and Durok on one base. I don't know why, but sometimes it's handy. Like most likely, like you would use it for terrain
And where is
creation.
that option?
Pardon me.
Where is that option to join? Well, to merge marker and
It's the
It's in
F6.
your left hand menu. It is F6.
F6.
And you right click the guy that is to be attached to, and left click the guy that is to be attached, the one that is going to have something attached to. So you can attach it to the token maybe. Yeah, and then as you can see, I can just move those guys as one thing. But this thing will also have a collider, which is annoying, because then if you just put it here, as you can see, like this thing is already giving you trouble. I just cannot put it there because it has a collider. You can delete
And if I
colliders
change
from
the
here.
state, does it become unattached? Or is it attached in all states?
It's yeah, it's now
In the
I
gone.
other
it
state, it's not
disappears.
even having the model.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
The
only
model is
attached
attached
in
only
like
in the
the
first state. In the other state, it's just a silhouette, and that's it.
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so it's basically most useful. Like it might be useful for links, but I don't think it will. Uh,
I didn't see
yeah,
anyone using that, honestly, on any game.
no, I think that's like more for like creating cool things for maps or something. Like it's not useful for the game. You can maybe create some new things with the assets that are already there. But for the most part, like use Gizmo to like position models however you want them precisely. And if not, like just use nudge, like arriving with nudge at the model, because that gives the most precise control. Okay, nothing happened. Okay, so yeah, also for like posterity, because we are talking about like hidden information, also like deploying hidden models, there are several ways. You can either put it on the sheet, but it's not very precise, like just mark it. You can put right, say you have a ninja somewhere, and let's say you have these monstrosity funnels here. you can just write that it's like, I don't know, 15 inches from one side and something. But also you could gizmo this guy and copy the position. So copy to clipboard like the position things. And then you can just put it here. And now you can maybe possibly see if you just maybe Alt over it. Alt lets you like look at the thing. It has like a string of numbers like -2276, 3.11, -834, which is the position of this guy. And if you put this position into this guy, let's say if I put like this position on another guy, it should put him like in this position. So you could like theoretically have a model like here and just input the coordinates into his position, and it will place him where you want him. But I have not found a way to put multiple like windows of the positioning. So you have to put X, Y, and Z separately, which is a bit annoying. Okay. So what you do with those hidden information, you like the safest way, because you could just place it face down and move it like in view of your opponent, so he knows that he doesn't mess around with it. Or you could put it in the boxes here. And if you put it in the boxes, you need to like then change to the games master to be able to drag them out of the box. So nobody has access to it aside from the games master, which is always available only to the host. So whenever the time comes to reveal the ninja, you just either you are the host and you say, okay, I will reveal the ninja, you change to games master, and then you drag it. But this will also let you see through both colors. So you have to be like wary not to like spy on somebody inadvertently. Should we like discuss anything else, right? Any further questions? Is anybody like willing to like move the models? I think you are all pretty already advanced in just moving your models around.
Yeah, I have a question regarding 3D measurement.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What's the question?
3D measurement of distance, like when someone is shooting from the roof, and at someone who is
Okay, so the line tool, which is F4, allows you to change units from centimeters to inches, and then 2D to 3D, and then be free or auto, and like some other options. So 2D is used to measure like zone of control, because this measures like this line that is always like on the horizontal from the guy. So
Yes.
this is to measure like if this Gazi is in zone of control to jammer this worker, and you start with the Gazi, yeah, and you have a snap. I have a free tool, you have a snap, which means that my tool, I can just start it anywhere, like touching the base, and like measure any distance, and you have chosen the auto, which snaps to colliders. Now the problem with 3D models is they have colliders inside their bases, and that are smaller than the bases. So it will always like measure from inside of the base if you are using 3D models.
From the very bottom, that is.
Yeah, so if you use the auto in your ruler, it will snap, like it measures, like as you can see, like it measures from inside of the base to inside of the base. So for very precise measurement, you have to like just go to the free mode.
Yeah, it's 6.9
and like just
like that with the free mode, and
yeah.
with the auto mode it just snaps and makes it louder, like 7.5.
Yes. Now that's okay for like movement, because it doesn't change. Like you still measure like to the same spot, and you measure movement. You left click a guy to grab him, press tab and move him.
Mhm.
And this will measure the movement, preferably 2D, but you can also measure 3D. So let's say I move him here to this corner, and then I want to change direction. I release the tab, press the tab again, and I'm still holding the guy. So it will measure a new distance from this spot.
Yeah,
So
but you
this
can
is
see the
for,
problem
let's
here
say,
that here he moved 1.5 inches, and if you don't want to measure these small
yeah, that like
elevation
the
points,
3D map move. If you are in the
switch it to
3D
3D. Yeah.
mode, because right now I'm in 2D mode, and you can see like it is as it's supposed to be. Like I'm vaulting. This is like the full movement he gets. That's 4 inches. And can you like go into 3D and measure the same distance for me? Like from the start of his base to the start of the line. Yeah, as you can see, like you would be moving less if you were measuring 3D, because you like to this like base, I think that was like 4.5 or 4.4 inches because of 3D measurement. So if you have, say, a guy at this window shooting
Mhm.
at this guy, you have to choose the 3D to measure the distance, because line of fire is 3D. Yeah, exactly. So you change the tool to 3D, 3. Also for precise, you just measure from the silhouette. You are supposed to measure from the base, but sometimes you have to measure like from the lowest portion of visible silhouette. It's still like snapping to different places, so I think it's safest to measure from the closest point of the base. Because it's like whenever you try to put it on the silhouette from a different angle, it will like put it like behind it. So you
Yeah,
have
and then it will measure
you
incorrectly, and
yeah
the measurement will be illegal.
usually the best bet is to like measure 3 or 4 times, moving camera around, just to see if the distance is like on the edge of being like good or bad. Just move the camera around, measure 2 or 3 times, make your opponent measure the same, come to a conclusion. Usually it's like pretty obvious. If not, then roll the die. Like odds, it's in range, even it's not.
And I want to ask, during movement, do we count, well, during vaulting, do we count vertical distance like
No,
No,
no.
in
you
this
do not.
case? So it's
Vaulting.
4 inches.
For
So that's
vaulting,
3D. So if you change to 2D, that will be more precise movement.
yes.
It's not, you should not count this vertical movement. Now the thing is, like if this guy is vaulting here, he is at some point here and then here. He is not like just remaining at this level. So if you have a guy here that is overlooking there, and he can see like, he cannot see, let's say, this spot because of the height, but he could see, I think that's pretty good example. Yeah, because from this spot he cannot see, if this guy were to like ghost through those barrels, those crates, he wouldn't be able to see. But vaulting like doesn't measure this movement, but it still positions you here, which allows you to gather like to catch some cool angles, because you are for a moment higher up, but you're also catching other angles like on you.
So you can catch an opponent out of cover by tracking his
Yes.
distance like that.
Well, yes, especially in this case, like you would assume like this silhouette is higher than this guy, but I still sorry, like this guy, but I still think like this top of this silhouette is at least at this position, like like 1/3 of this silhouette. So in this instance, this silhouette would not get cover from this guy, and neither will this guy get cover from this other silhouette unless he's like touching cover.
We're talking about cover from elevation because he's not
Yes,
high enough.
yes. Yeah, because right now in Infinity, if you a portion of your silhouette is not visible, then you get cover. So let's say a model is here, and the model is here. This model cannot see like the back portion of the bottom of the silhouette of this guy, so this guy gets a cover. But yeah, exactly. But if he is here, the top of his silhouette is already like high enough to see everything on this elevation, so there is no cover there.
So I'm staying here. I can't see.
Yeah, if the top of your silhouette is not higher than this guy, which is usually measured by moving the silhouette here, or you just move the silhouette here and
So he gets
gizmo
cover
it.
for elevated.
So basically, you gizmo it to the elevation, because the gizmo allows you to keep the same height, and then you can clearly see that this elevation is higher than the silhouette. So this guy will have cover.
Okay.
Or also like a useful thing, like whenever you are trying to measure something, like because right now pre-measuring movement is a thing. So if you'd say I spend the order to move this guy and want to see all the angles you could get, just copy paste his silhouette. So turn it into silhouette, copy paste. I want to like see what I can move, and like look for the angles from those spots.
Yeah, who can see me at this point?
You can pre-measure, so that's like 1.5 and then 2.5. So okay, so he can move up to like say here, or he could move like say up to like here, or he could move like say up to here, and basically look around. When you are satisfied, say okay, so this guy moves, let's say, to here, delete the other silhouettes, and then move the guy and say okay, I'm asking for a arrows. But yeah, you can do this, but don't like ask your opponent like to say everything he can about everything. Like he can work with you, and that's welcome, but he shouldn't like do the hard work for you. Also, usually like there is some acceptance on like take backs, especially in casual and when you are learning. So you could say, okay, move this guy here, especially right now with the pre-measured movement. That's I think doubly acceptable. It was acceptable before, but right now I think it's more acceptable. Okay, so you say, okay, I want to move this guy here. Okay, and then you notice that this guy can see this spot, and then say, okay, so no, let's maybe not move there. Let's move him here. Then
Well, can I just ask my opponent, like I want to move here, which of your models can see me here? Just
yes, of
That
course
totally
you can.
Yes,
because that's how we usually play.
Usually it speeds up the game. Sometimes though you are trying to like do some tricky shit, and you don't want to like express what you want to achieve with this thing. So yeah, it's usually like those kind of takebacks are okay. Like if the dice are rolled, that's usually not okay.
Yeah, unless no dice have been rolled, it's okay. You can replay it. Usually.
Yeah, and also another thing, if no new information was revealed.
Yes.
So I would say, let's say if you move the other guy here and say, okay, so I move him here, I accept that this guy can see me, and then the opponent say, okay, so here appears a camouflage out of TO. Then there are no takebacks. So this takeback would be like bad manners and like arguing, like because you gained information.
Definitely.
Of course, also like moving here and say there's a camo here, and you say one thing is to say, in case this is a mine, I want to move like not to be in detonation range. but the mines are tricky because you have to judge this thing without a grid. So I would say, like, just saying, uh, I want to move outside of the detonation of the mine is not like something you can do,
Yeah.
because you still have to like eyeball this thing, and the opponent will say, "Oh, I don't know, it looks close," and you say, "Okay, it looks close," but you have to just tough it up. Okay, so I move him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so you say, okay, I think I want to move some closer, but if I'm in detonation, I want to move back. No, that's not acceptable. You have to say, okay, okay, so that's the final spot. Let's now measure the distance, and it turns out it's 8 inches.
Yeah.
And the
It's
next
8 inches.
Yeah, and the mine is like mines are tricky because the detonation range is 8 inches while the template is 8.3. And who can be
Ah,
wiser? Who can be wiser? Which is more important? I'm like too lazy usually to dig this thing up, and I usually go with whatever opponents tells me. Uh, maybe
Yeah.
that's why I'm not winning like major tournaments. But yeah,
Yeah. In general, eyeballing ranges, seeing where it's 8 inches, where it's 16 inches, where it's 24 inches, is one of the most useful skills you could have in Infinity.
yeah. Now I have a trick. I have a trick for you. Like remember that the silhouette is 1 inch. So
Yeah,
you
you
can
can.
basically like eyeball how many silhouettes are between. Like this works for like movement of 4, movement of 6, because that's the distance you can usually like quite comfortably eyeball. It doesn't work for like longer ranges. You have to just know them. And this is like a different skill set from normal tabletop, like in TTS. Like let's guess, from this to this, I would say that's 29 inches, maybe 31. Any guesses from here to here?
the table
Approximately.
is 48 inches.
I'd say 24 to 32, because these are the ranges. These are the most important ranges that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, I
32,
think it might
24,
be
48.
slightly out of 32, but I will try to
I
err
think it's
on.
inside 32, in my opinion.
Could you repeat? Inside or
I
outside?
think it's inside 32
Inside.
range, man. Yep.
Yeah, I think so too. Let's measure.
Ah,
No,
Ah, no.
just barely.
see,
Just
that's
beyond.
like 2 inches. Yeah,
Well, to
too
be fair,
close.
33.
yeah, they are both in their deployment zones, so this means you could
Yeah.
also do some math based on that. So here
Yes,
it's
yes,
about
you
2 to
can.
12 inches, and then there is also eight
Also,
inches.
like in TTS, it is always available to load up the map beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
So you can basically what I like to do with maps is look at the map, like load up like the night before you play, load up the map and deploy your army on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Just deploy your army, and then you see like if this is a good spot for a sniper, if this is a good spot for a Gazi, or if this is a good spot for a camo, and vice versa on the other side. And then uh, even then, like especially like maybe not now because impetus can be cancelled easily, but I would like then prefer to like run one turn like in my mind, like just moving my models and see how far the Gazis run. Say I deploy a Gazi here, and I then counter deploy the sniper here, or like let's say sniper like say here, and then if this Gazi runs, I will just see if this position can see him,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody is allowed to do this. You have to have time to do this, but I would say like it is much easier in TTS to eyeball distances because you know the maps much better than in real life.
Well, and also the map is always the same size, the same number of grids.
Yes, you don't run into like 37-inch tables or like 51-inch tables like you sometimes do in real life.
Yep.
Uh, Yeah. Now the good another like good. There are some good habits. Like one is to talk with your opponent over the terrain features of the table. Like, do you think like from here you can see to here? Like, how do we play the buildings? Can you shoot through, or just in and out? Some maps are designed to be shot through, like some panic rooms and armories. Some are not. Let's say from this building, like, can you shoot through this building? Can you not? Can you just shoot inside and outside? Like, talk to this before you deploy, because then you will not be, because you can play either way, and both ways are fine. One will just favor a bit more like shooty models, the other would favor some more like warbands. But both ways are good. You just have to decide beforehand so that you deploy accordingly and they are not caught unawares.
Mhm.
Also, like ask what you do with those trees. Like shadowy terrain, cool, but can you deploy there? Because is this model all right here? It stands, so I guess it's all right, but the opponents disagree. Just
Mhm.
talk through this. Like, so there are no like things that you start deploying here, thinking that you would move to here, but then your opponent says, no, that's not allowed because you cannot like deploy a model flat there. And they are both valid points, but just agree before the game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you have to talk
Uh,
about these
uh,
points.
yeah. Another thing is mm, just get into the habit of like moving one short skill and asking for arrows, even
Yeah.
if you think there are none, even if you like don't see anything, even if your opponent like told you like this sniper can see like this spot, but he cannot see anything to this side. You can still run into a mine. You can still run into a noctifer. You can still like move a model, and suddenly the opponent decides like this grenade launcher here sees him like in bad range. But if you ask after you move and this is not gaining new information, you can still like say, oh no, yeah, that was not my intention, right? Or
Mhm.
another thing, like use the intention, like like with the pre-measuring. I think that's clearly what the designers want to pre-measuring of movement. That's clearly what the designers wants the game to be. Like I move to here, like I want to like not be seen by anybody. I Ross, and they say, okay, so at this position, like this guy starts to see you. Okay, move back. That's fine. You will just waste another order moving through this space, but that's fine. Uh, but if you just move through here and not ask anything, just okay. So I move here and I measure like my two movement skills, and then
Yeah,
the opponent appears here and says, okay, I see you here.
and
You
since
you
you have
cannot
already
like
declared both,
roll that back. You already dropped the model here.
yeah,
You
Mhm.
already removed the model here. It's very hard to roll back precisely.
you deploy
So
and
just
you
don't do it.
declared both your short skills, so you cannot
Yeah,
technically you cannot declare dodge.
yeah.
So
Like in a casual game, I would allow it to be rolled back, but it would be very imprecise because
But usually
I
we
don't.
just declare one by one. Well,
Yeah,
the
it's
first
just
part,
declare one
arrow,
short skill. Yeah,
and
exactly.
then
Just
the
just
second
get
part.
into the
yeah,
habit.
yeah, you
Just
automate
get
this
into the
shit.
habit of asking errors.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that covers most of the basics. Do you have any more questions? Anybody? How do you like turn off the snow? There is a hidden object somewhere in the map, and you have to find it and delete it. Most likely, it's
Oh, I see.
inside.
I see. It's gonna be in the recording.
Yeah,
So yeah, but I'm not gonna tell you what to see.
yeah. Now there are some ways about the dice rollers. Like some people say they are skewed. Like I like don't like you can quote me on this, but I just that is a hearsay. I just heard somewhere or read somewhere that the way the TTS uses random generation is based on the seed from the timestamp. you create the game or you join the game with whatever. So the dice will be predetermined, whatever. It will be like ready for you, like all the numbers are already rolled, like XCOM style. You just don't know if the 17s will be good for you or bad.
Hmm.
So you can either like just roll some dice and like I don't see the reason to like roll dice like to waste dice rolls. Like you are just dealing with it. Like normally you would also like have some dice rolls. Like I don't give a shit. Like this is a good roll. I don't care. Like is my BS 14? Is my BS 11? It depends. Like if I'm doing good roll, bad roll. Like this was a good roll, but
Unless you roll
just
saves,
Oh yeah.
because you rolled 2 and 3.
yes, but this is still a good roll. It depends when it will come into
Yes.
play. This is a good
Oh,
roll, but if it was a save versus missile, that's a bad roll. If it was a hit versus say a guy with his back on me within good range, that's a very good roll. That's 3 hits for like BS11 Gulam without cover. So and the crit even. Is it like I don't know, it depends on the context. I don't care. One thing I sometimes do is I lock the die on the dice roller. So yeah, so if you lock the die, it will generate the results just so, much quicker. Since it's already like using predetermined results, I don't see a reason why not to. Because and it prevents like the dice knocking around and like changing, and you see like, oh, it was rolling for a 20, but then it bumps a model and now it's 4. Another thing, another school of thought, because like there is a bug sometimes happening that if both the players lock their dices, something bugs out, and the one dice roller stops to respond. You can just copy paste the working one, but I don't know if it like uses
Oh
the
yeah.
same seed for the random generation or not.
I
Another thing
encountered
that
this
Cobra, another thing that Cobra wants to do is to go to the physics of the die and set the bounciness in the material to 1. And what it makes is those
they
bouncy
bounce
dice.
around. Okay.
Yeah. So he claims, and some guys, he claims that some guys run some math, and this tends to like increase the randomness of the TTS dice.
Huh.
Like I feel this is time wasted. Just roll the dice, but yeah, you can do this.
You can also do the metal dice.
Yeah,
Not that it changes much. I don't think.
you can
That's cool.
maybe knock some models. Oh, what happened? Oh, it disappeared. You can also roll the dice just by throwing it around, but it will not like record the score. What I usually do, and most people I've seen do, is only go by the score generated in the chat. I don't care what is on the dice. I just go by the score in the chat.
Wow, rolling dice in Discord. That's
Yes, you can also
yeah.
roll the dice in Discord.
Yeah, that's kind of
I have finished some games doing this. Like when something like my TTS crash or something, and I only had like 2 more orders to spend. I think I finished like my season, like previous season, like Vols League with Panda, just rolling the dice like for the last few rows in the chat. It was like back to the roots, like pen and paper gaming. Okay. Anything else? I think that's pretty much it for now. Maybe next time we can actually move some models and play some games, and I can offer you some tactics like and list building advice. Would that be interesting? to anybody?
I'd be interested to see it.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, so maybe next week? Or
Sure.
do you still have time right now?
Next week seems fine.
Yeah,
Technically,
next
I
week.
have time, but I'm probably gonna get pulled into another meeting at this rate.
Yeah, and I'm already pretty, my throat is pretty dry right now. Okay, so thank you for your time and happy gaming, and see you next time.
Bye bye.
on
Appreciate you hosting this.
Infinity Class with Perzan.